Americans generally judge communism by Russia's foreign policy. Now, communism is not to be judged by Russia's foreign policy. If it is, well then when Russia's foreign policy is favorable to the United States or the Western world, we're apt to believe that communism is good. And when Russia's foreign policy is unfavorable to the Western world, then we fall into the mood of believing that communism is wrong. It's well to realize that communism is wrong independently of Russia's foreign policy. Then there is another aspect of communism, and that particular one is that man has value only inasmuch as he is a member of a class. In one of his earlier writings, Karl Marx, who was the founder of communism, said, "We have already destroyed the outer priest. Now we must destroy the inner priest. That is to say, man's clerical, spiritual nature." Then follows this very remarkable statement. Marx said, "Democracy is founded on the principle of the sovereign worth of every person. This in its turn is based upon a postulate, a dream, and an illusion of Christianity, namely that every man has an immortal soul." Then coming to the first edition of his work on Capital, Marx says, "Persons of and by themselves have no value. An individual has a value only inasmuch as he is a representative of an economic category and belongs to a certain revolutionary class. Outside of that, no value." Molotov, more recently, carrying on that philosophy, developed the idea that bread is a political weapon. A political weapon. We thought that it was food for the hungry, regardless of who they are. Molotov said, "No, bread is only to be given to certain people, those who share your own political revolutionary ideas." This is the basic principle of communism. So true is it. Remember some years ago, Haywood Broun told me there was a cartoonist on one of the communist sheets in New York. And the cartoonist developed cancer. He was unable to work. And Haywood Broun went to the communists and asked them if they would not give him some pension or help pay his hospital bills. And the answer that he received from the communist was, "He's of no use to us. He no longer is a member of a revolutionary class, and therefore for us he does not exist." That was good communism, but it's not good humanitarianism. That explains liquidation. The individual has no value. What it actually is an application to the human order of what prevails in the lower realm of biology, where individuals perish in order that the species may survive. An individual fly is of no consequence in the lower biological orders. What is of importance is the species. Marx and communism have taken that notion out of biology, lower biology, and applied it to man. It says that what happens to an individual man is of no consequence. What is of importance alone is the revolutionary class, namely the species. Communism. That explains what we have seen and read about in Korea, namely the communist tanks running over the bodies of their wounded because they're of no worth. It also explains the way they attacked our UN forces. The first line of attack carried guns. The second line of attack would carry mattresses, throw themselves upon barbed wire, be shot. The second group would also come up unarmed, and the third group would have guns. We in democracy would never do that to men. Every man is precious. Every soldier is precious. And this liquidation, man in the modern world, is not going to be met just simply by protests of horror. It means that we have to recognize the evil of this particular philosophy and begin affirming in the United States not just mass culture, We perhaps have had too much of that, namely an emphasis upon humanity, as Hitler put the emphasis upon race, as Mussolini put it upon nation, and as the communists are putting it upon a class. It is now high time to affirm in education, in politics and everywhere else, the sovereign worth of the individual. And that means that man has to get back to the true democratic concept that Marx recognized, namely that every man is a soul. What we are attempting to do now in our Western world is to preserve the fruits of Christianity without its roots. That cannot be done. And what is unfortunate is that we of the Western world have the truth, but we have no zeal, we have no fire. What has happened to the great patriots, to our great champions of righteousness? The communists have stolen the Pentecostal fire. They have the zeal, but no truth. And we with the truth also have heat and passion. Fire, the kind of fire that the Savior came to cast upon the earth. Communists are right in saying this world needs a revolution, but not their cheap kind, which merely transfers booty and loot out of one man's pocket into another. We need the kind of a revolution in the United States and in the rest of the world that will purge out of a man's heart pride and covetousness and lust and anger and envy and gluttony and sloth. In other words, the true battle against communism begins within the heart of every single American. It means the recovery of our own great tradition, of our belief in God, of an affirmation in politics and in economic life, and among our politicians, of the things that are right and true before God. Then we need not fear communism, for if God is with us, then who can be against us? God love you.